You knew you had to do that, right? Okay. I've asked AT&T if they could every month to give us some type of update, as Melvin does, on the progress of the FirstNet build out in Iowa. So Kyle, you have it.
Yeah, I brought a presentation of just a few slides
Sure.
to help us with this. Not sure if you can all see that.
Yep.
Okay, outstanding. So, my name's Kyle Spies. I'm with AT&T FirstNet team. Obviously, my role is the outreach and consultation within the state of Iowa to assist with any type of FirstNet discussions, signing on, getting subscribers, discussing the FirstNet solution as a whole with all agencies within the state of Iowa. So, my background includes the last 5 years of working with public safety agencies and the last 10 years in technology sales as a whole within wireless industries. So today I want to give you kind of a little bit of a refresher of some of the main aspects of what FirstNet entails, and then also some of the new items that are coming out just this month within March to give you kind of an update of where we're at. So six key facts of what makes FirstNet different than what you have with any other cellular carrier today, including AT&T. It's highly reliable network coverage. This is covering 99% of the population once it's fully built out. That also includes a 98% geography number in Iowa. So there's been a lot of questions about that if it's being built out to just population instead of geography. That is not the case. So we're actually looking at enhancing the rural coverage within the state as well, and those sites are being built out. It's a 5-year build plan when it comes to band 14, but I'm not sure if anybody has seen recently from our own Chris Sandbar, who's been doing a lot of interviews and putting out information about what the build plan looks like, is that we're actually much further ahead of time, and we'll have band 14 sites available in Iowa this year. Number two is priority. So when you take a look at priority coverage, I'm sure some of you are familiar with wireless priority service, or the GET service that gets you to the front of the line on a cellular coverage or on a landline coverage. What priority does in this case is we also are able to give you quality of service within cellular connections, but it also, the second portion of that is giving you preemption on the line. So primary users, police, fire, EMS, and we'll talk about primary versus extended primary a little later, will actually be able to make sure that their data signals, cell signals, text signals are all going through the network, and that if there is a disaster or congestion on our wireless networks, that other users are preempted off of that. So that what that means is if it's a normal business consumer or something like that, their usage is taken down and preempted off of those channels, so public safety traffic can go through and make sure that the traffic that you're sending is working at all times. Trusted security and resiliency. So to talk about that is we're actually coming out with a brand new core, which I'll go into here in a few slides, to make sure that you have full end-to-end encryption of all of your data activities, calls, and text messages, anything that you'd be sending over the cellular network. We have a public safety application store, and also some events that are coming out to help with this. We're having some hackathons, some other items that we're looking for developers to come in with more public safety applications for you to be able to test those. And so the application store isn't necessarily replacing an iTunes application store or Android application store. It's an actual website that you would be able to go to, push applications out to your users, and they would be reviewed by public safety personnel. We have a dedicated support team, 24/7, 365, that is all FirstNet trained. So they are trained on the devices, equipment that you would use that be specialized compared to other departments. It's not a normal call center where they're used to dealing with consumers and business all day. It is specifically trained in public safety applications, including equipment. and affordable plans with advanced features. So with that, I mean, we're happy to give anybody a quote at any time to discuss what the plans, the costs are of a monthly agreement. The state of Iowa in whole actually has a discounted agreement compared to what you would normally see from what we would like to call list price. So list price is what's out there, is what you see in a per unit, per smartphone, per data line cost. The state of Iowa has an actually agreement that gives you lower pricing as well. So all 50 states had opted in within the end of December. This is important because we wanted to look at from a state plan perspective, but also from a national plan perspective. So since every state has opted in and is going forward, moving with FirstNet as being the public safety network across the nation, this allows us to go through and launch our new FirstNet Core. So essentially what the core is the brains behind your cellular network. The reason why we want a new core is because our current core is designed just like every other wireless carrier's core to be a consumer network. This needs to be advanced core to support public safety traffic. This is coming out within the next few weeks. So it's designed to public safety specifications to make sure that the standards of what the First Responder Network Authority is giving us is how this traffic is ran. It's built on physically separate hardware, so that makes sure that, as I stated, it's completely separate from our normal consumer and commercial traffic. It's encrypted from end to end, so this allows you from, depending on what type of VPN solutions that you use, it could be NetMotion or anything like that, this keeps your traffic encrypted even when it's running through a cellular network. So you can be sure that as it's running through, that nobody is being able to see that type of traffic, what you're running, what type of reports you're sending at any point in time. It's monitored 24/7, 365. So we have a dedicated security operations center team that is monitoring this core, monitoring the traffic to make sure that the public safety traffic continues to run separately from anything else within the AT&T network. And heightened capabilities. So the biggest example and the biggest reason of why we're looking at a new core is giving you multiple priority levels. So right now, if your agency signs up, you have the priority and preemption that we talked about. Everybody gets that. That's a public safety. With this, you'd be able to design your agency's priority levels. So if you have a chief of police, disaster recovery, EMA, whomever needs to have those highest priorities when a disaster happens or an event happens, they would have higher priority levels within there. And that's all managed through local control. So each agency is able to manage those priority levels within their area.
How's that done?
It's done straight through the website. So if you're familiar with local control, you can actually design just from, to give you an example, you can see all your normal stuff, your billing, your users, everything like that. But you can actually, a portion of that, put in your different priority levels that is registered by phone number. So to give you an example for your agency, if you would want yourself as the highest priority, your phone number would go first, and then you list them out. This can help with running traffic to make sure that if you need certain members to have preemption or authority first and to get calls out in a congested area, those are able to go through. Thank you for the question. Any other questions on that before I move on?
Now, will that be from just from a AT&T to AT&T person, or AT&T to others? How is that going to work? Or are you going to talk about that?
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, that's a great question. It can be AT&T to anybody. Okay, so we can only guarantee that your device is going to work. We can't guarantee who you're calling if they're not on FirstNet that it will work. But we know that your call, your data, your text is going to get out.
It's going to go out someplace.
Yeah. So hopefully the idea is that everybody is going to get on the network together, and you know that your secured information at that point for a disaster type situation, if it's a call, text, or data that you're sending, is going to somebody else on FirstNet who has the same thing, and it's going to go through.
Now you talk about the priority, excuse me.
Yeah.
I've got one more quick question.
Yeah.
Priority, can I identify somebody that's not on AT&T to be able to come in for me to receive?
They have to have FirstNet for the priority and preemption to work. Okay. At this point, no other carrier offers priority and preemption.
Okay.
Well, they offer, I'm sorry, I misspoke. They offer priority, which again, priority gets you to the front of the line. But if there's network congestion, a lot of things that happen, you're still at the front of the line and not able to make a call out. Preemption is what allows you to make sure that other users are taken down off the network that are non-essential personnel so that your traffic is going through. Sorry, go ahead, Chris.
Yeah, thank you, Kyle. So if I understand this right, and mind you, this may have changed since I last heard, my understanding is that the priority and preemption is on AT&T owned and operated sites today. That may not necessarily be the case with third-party agreement sites where you may be sharing space with other carriers. Is that still the case? And if so, is there any notion as to when that may change so that the priority and preemption carries to the third-party sites that are basically kind of like roaming sites?
At this point, there isn't a change that's going to happen within those roaming sites, but the idea throughout the build out is to build and replace in a lot of those areas with AT&T owned. Well, none of them are really technically owned sites, but AT&T ran sites that are in that area to discuss that, and then that will allow priority and preemption on all of those sites. And additionally to that, most of those sites are going to have band 14 on them, which is obviously running public safety traffic completely separately.
So that's calls and data.
Yeah,
Priority
that's it.
preemption.
Yeah, that's important. Priority before was only calls, and this system allows data transfer, text. You send video. You can send picture messages, whatever you need from a scene. I mean, think of it like it's a scene of an accident or something like that, some type of event that's happened. If you need to be sending, data, video, pictures, anything like that from the scene, all of that's going to go through because you're preempting any other device around you.
So our State Patrol has Panasonic arbitrators, and we can live stream.
Yeah.
Right now, we're on the commercial network.
Mm-hmm.
So in theory, the SIM card that we put into the laptop in the trooper's car, which runs Panasonic arbitrator,
Mm-hmm.
it now has a AT&T FirstNet device getting all the priority and preemption. So when we have the camera live streaming, we're going to get priority and preemption on that phone number that is listed in there, or I can go into the portal and make that phone number, which is running the camera SIM card, always go without any interruption.
Yes. So it's going to do it anyway. The multiple priority levels is just going to allow you to adjust that if you want to.
Okay.
It's not something you have to do. I mean, it's something we recommend so that you can control whom has priority or not. If there's an officer that's not, maybe involved in the type of incident, you don't want their data maybe going over some of the others, but they are going to get preemption at all times, whether it's live video or whether they're just sending a text message.
Is local number portability going to be available?
Yes.
Okay.
What about the state's text to 911 program? Will the PSAPs need any specialized equipment to traverse back and forth?
That's a great question. I'm not sure if they will need anything that's different. The PSAPs have the ability to be a primary user with on FirstNet. So if they have cellular devices in that case, that will be priority and preemption just like any others. And I'll be talking about the user types here in a few
That
slides.
might be something, that'd be a question that the PSAPs are going to start asking of you. What are they going to need on their end, and what's it going to cost them, and et cetera.
Right. Yeah.
So
And so
PSAP's a landline, right? So if the PSAP sends it over the landline to a FirstNet device, is that how it works?
Right. So obviously we can't control the landline portion of it.
Right.
We can only control the cellular portion of it. If it's a cellular device, they can. But maybe that's something else we should talk about entirely because PSAPs are a qualified primary user. So if they have cellular devices that they need to, especially if it's in case of a backup situation, like I've had plenty of agencies before in the past that'll have wireless devices, cell phones in there so that they do have landline issues, landlines go down, something like that, and they have a FirstNet device that's there that they can make calls, texts, et cetera on, those will have priority and preemption.
So if I'm on my arbitrators, or let's say I'm on the scene of the school, and my video is running, but I also want to send pics back and forth to the sheriff or the dispatch center of the perpetrator, it's going from AT&T's network into the PSAP, guaranteed.
Yes.
Preemption priority, I don't have to worry about it not going because the system's busy.
Exactly.
Okay.
And it's to prevent from that system that's being busy and from those command centers to make sure that that traffic goes through and that it is priority.
It's going to hit the landline, right?
Yeah.
It's got to hit the landline.
It has to.
At some point.
The only reason why that would fail in my mind, and I apologize because I know nothing about landlines, is that if the landline is down and not working.
Okay. You can adjust those too. Yeah, we do have to get that PSAP FirstNet understood so because they're going to wonder.
Yeah.
How do we use it?
Right.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah, those are all great questions. Thank you. Okay, so new for this month are a couple of new devices. This is fun for two reasons. Obviously, everybody likes shiny new equipment, new things. This is all good, but it's also these are the first handheld devices that are on that are actually band 14 units, right? So this is two things. So obviously the Samsung Galaxy S9, Samsung S9 Plus, Samsung providing devices for public safety that is on band 14 in my mind is huge. This is a nationwide network that they know and understand that this is going to be up and running and is a big part of AT&T's business going forward. So Samsung having band 14 devices that run this type of equipment, this type of traffic for public safety is huge. Also, we have the new Sonum devices that'll be on band 14 as well. These are made with some of the larger buttons, so think of fire, maybe EMS with gloves on, large oversized gloves, things like that, is able to assist with that. And they're a lot more rugged devices, ultra rugged, not just rugged, ultra rugged. So as we were talking about some of the user types earlier, so again, this will be information that's refresher for some of you. So primary users are police and fire, EMS and PSAP, and emergency management. They have priority on the network, and they are able to preempt other users at any point in time. The difference between that and extended primary users are a little bit different. They have priority on the network, but they're not preempting anybody off unless a primary user elevates them. So it's hospitals, utilities, transportation, and more. So if you look at some of the information recently, there's been a lot of questions about what type of agencies would be extended primary users, and we are listening to use cases for those. So we've added on schools. We've added on a lot of other departments that would be assisting public safety. If you think of any types of information disaster that they could need, and those users can be elevated within local control and within the new FirstNet Core, as we were talking about earlier. We also have individual paid users. There's subscriber paid users that are actually could be, most of the case, volunteer firefighters. They could be EMS personnel. They could be anybody that's on maybe a stipend program within your departments, part-time workers, anybody that uses a device for public safety today. They're able to still pay for their own service just like they do now, but they're able to get onto the FirstNet network, get FirstNet pricing, and have those unlimited capabilities.
What's your plan on to be able to monitor those users to make sure they are who they say they are, and so if they leave an agency, they're still paying individually? What's their authority?
Yeah, that's a great question. We need your help with some of that. So the way that the process works today is if that user works for your organization, you would give them permission to get a FirstNet device. This usually 90% of the time will run through an email address, but either way, it has to be approved and registered by the agency. It's a completely separate discount profile than your agency paid stuff, so you can be rest assured you'll never get a bill for it. But you are the ones that approve that, and then if they do leave the agency, again, we're not going to police those from here. Hopefully, at that time, you will then delete them off of FirstNet. They will then have just a normal AT&T device, just like the rest of us. That was a good.
So we have to or who's we need to do some type of governance structure.
Anybody that you consider an admin within your organization would approve those. Did that answer your question? Okay. So those users are able to do that. They're able to purchase equipment any way they want to, as far as calling in through the website or stopping into an AT&T store, as long as they have permission and they have that email approval from you beforehand. And so lastly, for the purchasing process, you can be in contact if you already have a local AT&T sales representative. We have the FirstNet Help Support Desk that you can contact. If you don't have normal local AT&T, which most of you I believe have other carriers or anything like that, you're more than welcome to contact me. I will assist you with any type of demo requests, pricing requests, getting an account manager assigned to your account to make sure that we're taking care of that. And we have many different purchasing options for you to be able to choose from. With our unlimited plans, it's very important to understand that we do not limit your data usage at all. So we're not like any other carrier where it's limited at 22 gigs, 25 gigs. Your data usage is truly unlimited, and that's a part of our contractual agreement with the First Responder Network Authority.
Throttle down.
Right. No throttling.
And how does FirstNet prioritize between agencies?
Say that again. I'm sorry.
FirstNet prioritize between agencies?
We cannot. It's all set up locally to be controlled locally. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, we do. We have no control over it. At this point, we don't assume that we understand how your agencies would respond in a type of crisis. That's not our job. Our job is to make sure that all of the equipment, the network works when you go to do it. Any other questions for me? Yes.
We'll have the 99% coverage. So will that be available commercially too? So that if I don't have AT&T. So if I got an AT&T and then I'm retired, is my AT&T still going to have 99% coverage?
That's a
non-first.
Yeah, that's a great question. So we're not promising that you will have 99% population coverage with AT&T. That's only a FirstNet promise. Mm-hmm. However, AT&T is an organization that still wants to make money, right? So as we're building these Band 14 sites and making sure that public safety has the traffic they want to, those will include all the other AT&T LTE bands as well.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it. Thank you.